Hey everybody, welcome to the Blue or Broad Show, Monday night, the 8th of the 8th, 2022. I'm your host, Terry, and I have got Joe from the Almost Blues Brothers with me. Mr. Adamo, what is going on, mate?
What a time to be alive, man. What a time.
We are back. This is the Carlton that we only know about.
Yeah. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of opposition fans tuning in tonight because they love this sort of shit from us. So we'll give them a show.
Yes. Got a bit of feedback that not doing the pod this week. So it's good to have you here. I guess people can tune in here. It's a bit of an exclusive.
Look, if there are any Almost Blues Brothers listeners, I apologize that there was no podcast this week, but we just couldn't do it. I said to the boys, we've done this episode 20 times. So there's at least 20 there. If you want something within the realm of what we were going to talk about, just go look at one of the other 20 episodes after a loss and you'll get the same vibe, pretty much. Just rinse and repeat. We're not the only ones. I saw the Prendercast. They haven't done a podcast for the first time this week as well. So, everyone's just over it.
Yeah, and fair enough. I think one of the things that people don't realize is, it might seem easy to just get an episode out every week, but there's a bit of work that goes into this stuff, A
lot of work, man. And, it's good when it's good vibes and when it's, even after a loss, sometimes you kind of need it. But at this stage of the season, when it's just complete disappointment, you know what? We'll be back next week. Win, lose, or draw, I promise you that. We'll be back next week. Podcast up and running again. Just couldn't do it after that one. That one hurt. That one hurt.
For sure. Well, we're going to get to it. We're going to unpack it. Before we do, I'm going to play the fan cam compilation from this weekend. So sit back and enjoy this. Lions app. Welcome to the round 21 fan cams after the Lions absolutely embarrassed the Blues at the Gabba.
The way that the club has been talking this week, we got the same piss running through brick walls. Do you know what I mean? We were good at the start of the season, bro. We were good at the start of the season. Finals is on the line. I am sick of being this club. I am sick of believing. I am sick of getting just a little bit close. And then, it's okay. It's been a fucking good season. It's been a good season. Tell you what, 8-2, finish fucking bottom 2. For all I care. That is absolutely barbaric, man. Fucking disgrace, man. So, this is a bigger picture than individual players, coaches, personnel. This is a very lineal thing that isn't being fixed.
It's about realising that this was coming and people who were paid six-figure salaries to get this right, not being able to realise it. And I don't know why that's the case. I can sum up a reason as to why it's the case. It's because they're happy with what they've done for the year. They're happy with 12 wins. I'm not happy with 12 wins, given the position we put ourselves in at 8-2. But looking at the press conferences throughout the week, look, Harry Mackay, Vossi has a very good ability to inspire, and a few boys were looking for a brick wall to run through after the meeting. This was on the Tuesday after the Adelaide game. Where was that on Saturday night last week, and where was that today in the first three quarters?
Done.
It's so hard to believe they came out like that 2 weeks in a row with what was on the line. So hard to believe.
It started with last week. I feel like our performance from last week is kind of being carried on to this week.
I can't see us winning a game the way that we played today and the way that we played last week. It felt like last week and this week had some similarities.
Well, what did I just witness? That was an absolute tearing from Brisbane. We were horrible, Terry. We were so bad. I don't know what we were doing out there.
But the people that you can rely on, where were they today? Yeah. What did they do? What did they show us? And
it's like being reminded where we've been our whole lives again.
Oh, ironic. It's bullshit because, I know. I think we're the same age, so I know exactly what you're saying, man.
It's just the same old Blues.
All right, let's begin.
Tell you what, that was heavy, man.
I try my best to pick a song that just makes me feel the feeling that I felt after the game. So nice little cover there. But look, let's get into it. So again, as we do it every week, those of you playing at home, this is going to be interesting. 3 words to sum up round 21. And Joe, maybe take us through how you saw it and what you saw, and then we'll get into what it means and the rest.
Well, we went to the Great Northern Hotel 2 weeks straight, and I'll tell you something. They're 2 terrible losses, but if you want a place to console a loss with a good atmosphere and a good vibe, Great Northern Hotel is where it's at, Carlton North. So that's just a little shout out to that pub, because they've helped us through in the end of it, just based on the atmosphere and the vibe they put on. Because I tell you, if you were to get sucked into the game itself, there was zero positivity whatsoever. None. I don't even care about the last quarter, because that there is actually a bit of a cop-out, that they start to take the game on when the game's dead. Like, how many times have we seen that story? Like, honestly, if this is a team that is now coached by Michael Voss, with finals on the line, heading up to the Gabba, where Michael Voss cut his teeth for a Brisbane side that was all about grit and determination and just bullying and bustling their way through their opposition teams. And for the first 3 quarters, we were non-existent. We hadn't even got off the plane, from what I saw. Like, my God, man. How weak-minded do you have to be going into that game, not realizing what is on the line? And it took, and I know we're going to get to it, but the point where it looked like it was going to change is where it took our captain, the only bloke out there from the start of the game that looked like he wanted it, to go through someone. That's what it took to get a little bit of a spark for 3 minutes total, and then it fell to shit again. Like, come on, man. What are we watching? We're 8-2. We lauded this team 6-8 weeks ago for their determination to get through, when we're under siege with injury, and we had the longest injury list in the AFL. We're still winning games. What have we become in the last 4 weeks? What have we become, man?
Definitely want to touch on what's happened, as in because at the moment it's all speculation, but there is just no, right now in the last 2 weeks, that spark, that belief, that it's like that willingness and want to be aggressive, to be enforcers, to be powerful, to be all of those things, completely gone in 2 games in a row. That's why I kind of wanted to wait after the Adelaide game to see if it maybe there would be a response. But now that the Adelaide game has come and gone, now that the Brisbane game has come and gone, they're very similar in the way that we approach the games mentally. We've actually put ourselves in such a strong position to make finals, to the point where we could live in a reality where we lose 4 in a row and still make it. That's how far ahead we got ourselves in. There's so many questions this week. It's one of those weeks where you have more questions than what you have answers.
Agree 100%. And sure, like, we've got 2 more cracks to have it on our terms and to get a win and to lock it in on our terms. Sure. But we might, like you said, because we banked wins early, because we had that luxury this year that we've never had, we might still fall in. The fact that it's had to come down to this is disappointing. If we made it, would anyone be frustrated or upset? Absolutely not. From here, it's get there however we can, because you can't let your football standards from round 10 to now drop this far and just expect to walk into Melbourne and Collingwood in the next 2 weeks without Paddy Cripps now and without George Hewitt, without Matt Kennedy in that midfield, and just expect us to play the way that we've played. We're not. We're just not. We've got to live in reality here. Like, we've done this to ourselves over the past 6 weeks. We've put ourselves in this position over the past 6 weeks, and now we're going to pay for it big time, because it's going to take a miracle from now.
There's the intensity, which was clearly not there. Then there's the execution of the game plan, and then there's this other layer of the connection that we've seen all year with the overlap running and all of that. Those are the 3 things that I keep bringing myself to, as to what are the key pillars that we've seen all year. That hunger and that willingness to be tough and intense, that willingness to take that that kick and to move the defense and the opposition left to right before the middle of the ground opens up, and then there's that hard gut running to be available for the next option. The beauty of this season, I guess, which is something we wanted from last year, was what are we trying to do? What's the game plan? This year, it's pretty clear when we're playing well what we need to do. And that also makes it really clear when it doesn't happen.
So can I ask you a question, Tez? Because to this point in the year, I don't think the coaching department's been questioned. I think to get them to where these boys are and to where this club is at in the short period of time, it's still a massive achievement, right? I'm still trying not to lose sight of the fact that this time last year on this show, this week, we were coming off a loss to the Gold Coast. That was even more heartbreaking than what we just saw when I really put myself back in that situation. So I'm trying not to lose sight of that. But still, they haven't really been questioned up until the last 2 weeks, this coaching department, for tactical nous or what they're saying in the media or how they're getting these boys up for a game each week. Have these 2 losses that we've seen not started at team selection when you think about it?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it's a fair question to ask. Something has happened. Something has happened. It's really clear that the spirit of the group and the disharmony that we're seeing. And this is the thing I always try and remind myself, like, we just don't know what's being said behind closed doors. I don't know.
No, and that's fair. We don't know anything that happens within the four walls of the club, but perception for me is reality. And at the end of the day, we get the team sheets on a Thursday night and on a Friday night for a Sunday game. And I see Mark Pitnet named against Oscar McInerney, who's arguably one of the better tap ruckmen in the league at the moment for the Lions, who was going to give silver service to a midfield that could absolutely run over the top of us if they wanted to, and they did. And he's named on the Friday, but then named on the field, Tom DeConning, extended bench. By the time we get to Saturday, 5 p.m., Pitternet is all of a sudden managed and he was ill earlier in the week. For me, something doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up because you can't be naming Pitternet 24 hours before, which is the right call against the Big O, and then all of a sudden not there. You can't have Corey Durden, who all week we were told his shoulder is busted and it's no good and he's not going to get up, then named the medical sub. Sure, he came on, he had an impact, good on him. Like, if everyone had the heart to play through injury like that, great. But where's the team selection standards gone? Earlier in the year, we were picking players based on merit alone. And you're playing in your position where you've been told to play in the reserves or where you're trying to cut your teeth in the reserves or whatever it may be. For me, I just don't understand what's going on at the moment. I really don't in the past 2 weeks. And where those standards have gone from a selection committee standpoint.
Yeah. I was having a conversation this afternoon with Pommy. By the way, on a side note, if you're on Facebook now will ban you for 30 days if you write or use the word Pom or Pommy. So just be wary of that. We'll refer to him as Pommy, but just for those on Facebook, move to YouTube. I was talking to Pommy, and because I'm trying to put it, because Voss hasn't had the same conviction to me. Like he's talking differently, and I haven't been able to put my finger on it. And I remember the last time Pommy brought it to my attention, the last time Voss was really honest and brutally honest, and we loved it. It was the St. Kilda loss, the press conference there. He was brutal. And it's almost like he's been indoctrinated to talk like a Carlton representative. And just maybe, again, speculative, maybe it's just a tactic to keep everyone calm because the window's closing, the fear is rising, we could miss out, we don't want to bring attention to it. But at the same time, it's like, they're fucking grown men. What are we protecting them like? They're not babies anymore. Enough of that, you know?
Agree. Agree. And like I said, I purely just wanted to focus on the team selection because I was scratching my head again going in. But you're right. You look at the post-match press conferences since the St. Kilda game, and it's been vanilla. He stood up for Cripper, which I was very, very happy with. And I know we're going to talk about Cripper in a minute. And I thought that he handled that brilliantly. But in terms of holding them accountable in the public eye, I haven't seen accountability from this group or from this club or from this organization for a number of weeks. Whereas in, like you said, earlier part of the season, we're going, how good's this? The club's holding itself to new standards. Like, this is a football club. This is how, you look at Justin Longmuir throughout the year. He hammers his team off a poor performance with the press. Hammers them. Not good enough. We were getting that earlier in the year. Where's that gone? Where's this perception of accountability all of a sudden disappeared to? Because on the weekend, for the majority of the game, I would say 95% of the game, I saw 21 passengers, Cripps aside, 21 passengers. If you've got that many players in a loss that was that lackluster with everything on the line, showing what they showed, then there's got to be accountability. Has to be.
I mean, let's be honest. Nobody expected us to win on Sunday, and nobody really expects us to win this weekend. These were two games we looked at from the very beginning of the year where everyone penciled it in as a loss. But irrespective of that, do you think the players went into it with that kind of mentality of we're just gearing ourselves up for a tilt at Collingwood? Because I can sense that amongst all of us. I mean, I even have thoughts like that too. We spoke earlier before, and I'm saying I don't have any confidence this week against Melbourne, especially now that we know Cripps has been suspended. It really all comes down to that final game against Collingwood. Do you think they're not so different to us and they think the same way?
If that's the case, forget about it. Season's done. Season's done. You should be looking at every single game as an opportunity to win. Like, what? So is it for these boys and for this club? Let's make finals and that's it. Whatever happens after that, we've achieved what we need to. No, hold on. You're there. You want to have a crack. Well, if you're just going to go into week one of finals going, we've done our job, then we're going to lose by 80 points week one. What's the point? Yeah. What's the point, man? Where's the fight and where's the hunger that I have been remiss and flat out refused to give this team any credit that I'm about to give credit to, right? Collingwood, for me, with a percentage of 106, and I don't want to talk about Collingwood too much, but with a percentage of 106, you look at percentage alone, they're an average football team. But I'll put it to you this way. They've got determination, they've got the grit and the resilience to get through anything over the last 11 weeks to make sure they bank 4 points. Plain and simple. Doesn't matter who they played. Saw it on the weekend again against Melbourne. If we're not going into the Melbourne game or the Brisbane game, like we're reviewing now, with the same mentality of, boys, it's at all costs today, we have to get these 4 points, what's the point? Don't get off the plane.
Why are you playing?
Don't get off the plane, man. Stay in Melbourne. It's a bye for Brisbane. 4 for the game. Like, if you're not rocking up, if that's genuinely, I know that's the mentality of supporters because it's Collingwood, and we know that we're looking at round 23 as that's the one. Like, that's a big blockbuster, 80,000 is going to be grouse. But as a player, if you're not looking further than next week alone, something wrong. Something amiss.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing I was excited about to see. It was so ironic because in defense, we had the opportunity to see Marchbank, McGovern, Lewis Young, Jacob Wiedering, all back there. I actually was really excited to see it because I thought, wow, that's something we've only dreamed of. You know, we've obviously we've been playing Plowman for a while, knowing that he was filling a hole until hopefully we got Marchbank in the side. It's so ironic that I felt it was the most dangerous defensive lineup that we had all season, and it ended up being the one that leaked the most points for the year. And not that it was obviously just their fault. It was the midfield's fault, the way they got dominated at centre clearance. I think it was 24-8 centre clearance. The midfield didn't help, but it's just so ironic how that was the big backline that I was excited to see, and it ended up being the worst result of the season. Are you down with that? Do you want to persist with that? Or because like I said, the window's so small.
I think, I mean, who comes in? Like, I know Marchie hasn't played too much football. It's either him or Plowman. There's no Boyd. Stocker was concussed, so he couldn't be picked even if he wanted to. Williams has been out for however long. Like, that's Williams' spot at the end of the day when he's fit. He's just not. Boyd looked like he was going to fit straight into that role until he got himself injured. Stocker, he came off concussion, couldn't pick him in the Brisbane game. Like, that was really the only lineup we could have gone with unless we stuck with Plowman. And based on Plowman's performance the week prior, you have to omit him. Like, there's been players that have had better performances than what we saw from Lockie Plowman against Adelaide that have been cut. So I understand that. But, you know, I don't blame the defense. The damn wall broke finally. We had 20 inside 50s that they had to deal with in the first quarter alone. Like, that is ridiculous. That is work rate from higher up the ground, not allowing for the defense to rest and settle for a little bit. They were just under the pump. That's an inside 50 every minute. It's ridiculous. It's crazy, man. Crazy.
Crazy. Yeah.
So,
You move up.
look, to answer your question, I think right now we have to run with that. I think Marchbank plays again. I think McGovern plays again. I think Young plays again. Obviously, Wiedering plays again. You just have to run with it for now, especially with the loss of Newman too. We forget about that too, right? So
Yes.
we've got no one else to really cover that spot. That's unfortunately where we're at. But I don't think the back line is the issue defensively. They made mistakes with ball in hand on the weekend. Don't get me wrong. There were some putrid executional errors off that half back line on the weekend, even from Jacob Wiedering, which I just absolutely shook my head at, thinking, what am I watching? But in terms of what that back line has shown all year, regardless of the personnel at our disposal, as long as the midfield higher up the ground work harder from the start of the game, we'll be okay. They've shown they can hold up. But there's no back line in the league that can cop 70 inside 50s in a game week in, week out, and just continually keep a team to 70, especially when you come up against a side like Brisbane up there. You can't expect that.
No. The crazy part is, I understand Hewitt, Kennedy being out of the midfield. Like, you can deal with it with one. When two are out, it's really tough because they're both really strong players, and you need strong midfielders against the Lions. But we've been barking up about this system all year long. And to be honest, we were under the illusion that it had stood the test of time because we've been injured for the most part of the year. And it's, we had guys coming in, filling roles. I don't want this to sound like I'm blaming Dow and Setterfield. I really don't. I'm more talking about it from a development point of view. When you've got these guys who have now been in the system long enough to be competent, to be good enough. My concern, and this is probably the first time we've spoken about development all year. I'm really concerned as to how they weren't able to come in and how the instruction all of a sudden was less clear than what it looked like at the start of the year or earlier on in the season. And I don't know, maybe I'm just getting caught up in the wave and it was Brisbane and you just got to realize that they're so much better than us.
Look, you mentioned two players. I'll touch on Dow. Everyone that has ever seen me speak about Paddy Dow until this point knows he's like my son. I'm his number one fan, like I always have been. But Paddy, when you duck your head in a marking contest, mate, you're done, unfortunately. Like, for me, you cannot defend anything like that. And Paddy's had 4 or 5 years now to really develop in that spot. He's had the whole year pretty much in the VFL to develop as an inside mid and a tough body and whatnot, and we haven't seen it. Will Setterfield, different story for me. Different story. He won our most improved player in 2020 off the back of being an inside mid and a bull inside. He averaged 6.5 tackles a game, or whatever it was. I remember clearly because he had a fantastic year. I think we've done wrong by Will Setterfield by trying to turn him into a winger. He's not a winger. Never has been a winger. He might have, a tank to be able to run all game, but he doesn't have the foot skills. He doesn't have those skills that will make him a winger like an Ed Langdon. He doesn't have the pace. He doesn't have any of that sort of thing. He's got a tank and he's a big body. If he doesn't play inside mid this week with the outs that we've got, I don't know what this club's looking at. I really don't. He's arguably the biggest body that we've got out there this week going into the game without Cripps there now. Like, he should have been an inside mid from day one. And if he couldn't break into the best 22 being an inside mid, then so be it. Like, so be it. But don't do him a disservice showing that he can be an inside mid and an effective inside mid for us, even in a most improved player 2022 year, and try and turn him into a wing halfback, whatever we tried to do last year and this year. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then you move on to the leaders. The fumbles were there early. I think in the first 5 minutes, I saw Doc slip over, Doc fumble a ball. I saw Wiedering absolutely. You mentioned it just before, the kick, the turnover kick. I think Cripps had a handball which went 1.5 meters behind whoever he was handballing to, and in that moment, there might have been 8 or 9 minutes gone in the first quarter, and I remember thinking, these are the signs. These are the early signs. And I guess this discussion is like, what is the solution? Honestly, what is the solution? Is it just constantly getting yourself in these games, failing until you succeed? Like kind of what reminds me of what Richmond did when they were constantly failing and constantly losing all those close games. Is this just something we have to sit through? I understand emotions come and, we're going to fuck the season up and all of that. I get it. I really do. But I also understand we're going through this process as an organization. And it started when we, again, made a lot of change off field last year, brought in a different coaching group, CEO, president, all of that. I don't want to talk too much about what we're going to do from a change point of view this year. Because really what is most important is the next 2 weeks. Then we can talk about the rest.
That's
and
it,
I just don't know how they can, what I'm going to be able to see from them over the next 2 weeks to get us back on track.
You know what I want to see? Whether win, lose, or draw. Win, lose, or draw. I want to see tackles sticking. I want to see hunt on the football at stoppages again. I want to see clean ball use and execution from at least our experienced leaders and veterans on the park. And I just want to see a team that knows there's still something to play for. That's it. If we had have lost by 30 to Brisbane, we'd all be disappointed. But if we had have lost by 30 to Brisbane in a way where we went, they gave absolutely everything today and Brisbane were just better, it is what it is. At that point, it is what it is. Sometimes you get beaten by a better team on the day. Sometimes. That was not it on Sunday. We never gave ourselves a chance. That's all I want to see going into Melbourne this week is not bring the same shit that we saw for the first 3 quarters. Bring what they brought in the fourth, man, from the start. Take that kick inside into the corridor. We didn't take a corridor kick all day up until when the game was just dead and buried. And we still got within 15 points. Bring that from the start. I don't care if you make a mistake trying to take a risky kick to open up the play and do something a little bit different. But don't make mistakes with pissy little handballs and kicks over the top of someone's head 15 meters away. I don't want to see that. That's not the way that you lose. It's just not. That's for me, Tez. For me, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about the off season. I don't care about anything other than show some fight and show some grit in the next 2 weeks. That's it. Whoever you are, whether you're Paddy Dow or whether you're Paddy Cripps, I don't care.
Yeah. Sayaf, appreciate the 31. Where are we? The boys might let us down, but BA never will. Here's to you boys showing up regardless of the circumstances. PS, fuck the MRO. Absolutely. Well, we will talk about the MRO. I just want to talk about that next layer, which was the forward line. It's fascinating. I was obviously watching on the screen. Lee Matthews was making comments as well. And well, not just Lee Matthews, all of them were. They were talking about Carlton need another avenue to goal. And they know more about the game than me. So, who am I to say this? But I heard it and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, we have last year's Coleman medalist and most likely this year's Coleman medalist in the forward line. And we need another one. And I don't know, but there's another one. Let's talk about Harry. Talk about Harry and Charlie. Harry's work rate is not the same as what it was.
It's not.
I look at Harry as a leader of the club. I know he's doesn't have a title, but I really do look at him as one of the pillars that are going to take this group forward. I think also because he came out and spoke the way he spoke during the week and just, I don't know, was there a bit of smart ass about it last week? Because like the whole, Vossi, we love him. That was the talk at the start of the season. Harry's not an idiot. Harry's not an idiot. He knows that they all know that everything they come out and say is going to be heavily listened to and scrutinized. I found it really strange and almost passive aggressive and almost a little smart ass the way he spoke in that press conference, in that media grab last week. And then to back it up with the way he played, worries me.
Well, that was the worry. That was more the worry. Like, talk's fine. And to hear him come out early in the week prior to watching the game to say, yep, we're ready to genuinely take this game on and turn it on its head. I went, good. Like, that's what you want to be hearing coming out of a loss like that. And then you get the first 3 quarters and if we want to talk about Harry specifically, mate, he's looking genuinely, he's leading patterns, and the way that he's working to contests and the way he's working from, and the I don't know, just we've seen Harry be aggressive in a marking contest and on a lead and in a pack and really like hit it hard. The way he's hitting packs and the way that he's leading at the ball and the way that he's trying to shrug his man and whatnot, I hate to say it, but last year we sat here, how many times, Tez, talking about Levi Casbolt cutting off leads of Charlie and Levi Casbolt not hitting packs as hard as what he should and Levi Casbolt not shrugging his man like he should. Mate, this has been a pattern with Harry for the last 4 to 6 weeks. And before the show, we said if it was anyone other than him, he probably would have already copped a whack by now, to be fair. So I don't know, man. I don't know. There's a bad juju going on at the club at the moment, and I don't know, especially when you see it from someone like Harry, that's always competed and always been that player. That's the worry, where it was all talk and no walk. It was all bark, no bite. Like, it was just rubbish in the end. That was just rubbish. And I've seen the comments flying in, so don't think we don't read these comments, because a lot of people are saying that the interview he just did on the couch was absolutely garbage, and it just seemed he's disengaged and checked out. So I'm keen to check that out after this.
Yes, I look forward to seeing. Wow, he's fronted up 2 weeks in a row. Interesting, very, very interesting.
And look, it could be injury. It could be injury with Harry. I don't want to pick on Harry too much. It could be that knee, and maybe we brought him back too early because we had to and whatnot. And fine if he's playing through it, good on him. Like, that's hard enough as it is. But you got to back up your talk, man. You got to back up your talk.
Yeah. Look, and also didn't help the way the ball was coming in. It was putrid. So I also,
absolutely. Hey, mate, those long bombs were reminiscent of. Do you remember that GWS game in 2020 during COVID where we had like 56 inside 50s for a goal between two games? It was like 56 inside, and it was just long bomb after long bomb after long bomb. It's the same. Yeah. That there was reminiscent of what we saw back then. It was like, wow, surely not.
That is the most worrying part of the weekend, because at this point in the year, the whole idea of the new regime and the new system was that it would be better now, in theory, than what it was going to be in round one, because in round one, they're just learning it. They were really big on letting us know that what it looked like in round. I still remember it. Ash Hansen said it in press conferences. Vossi said it. It was also spoken about at functions earlier in the year, and it was made very clear. What it looks like in round one won't be what it looks like in round 11, and what it looks like in round 21 won't be what it looks like in round 11. And so the point that it doesn't look like they're more comfortable with the system. If anything, it looks like they've regressed with it, and they've gone back to their old ways. And I think the last 2 weeks is the first time all year, clearly, where it's been like, oh shit, we still have this in us. We can still stink it up like this.
Absolutely. And look, like you said, maybe it's just part of the process. Maybe it is. Maybe this is just learnings. Maybe these are just things that as a club you have to go through before you really hit your straps. I don't know. But all I know is that at our best this year, we've all said it. Everyone's seen it, not just fans, but the media. Anyone that's watched the Carlton game at our very best this year have seen that this club can do special things. Mm-hmm. We just haven't seen it for a long time now. We haven't seen it for 2 months.
Let's talk about Cripper. Let's just talk about it as we get here. So he's been charged with rough conduct. The MRO graded Cripps' involvement in the contest as careless, high impact, and high contact, and has offered him a 2-week suspension. The club has until 11 a.m. tomorrow to respond to the charge. In the back of my mind, I had no doubt he was going to get suspended. My hope was that it would be, give him 1 week, not 2. But
look, they'll appeal. We have to appeal, obviously. It costs him nothing in terms of more games missed. It costs the club, obviously, money-wise, but they'll appeal it. I think back to 2 or 3 incidents throughout the year. So the first one is Willie Rioli, round 1 on Matt Rowell. Now, Willie Rioli, it was front on contact, never looked at the ball, got him high, chose to bump, left the ground, hip to head. The only difference was Matt Rowell didn't get knocked out. That's the only difference. Oh, sorry. Actually, the other difference is that Cripps actually legitimately had his eyes on the football. That's the other difference. But the fact that Matt Rowell didn't get knocked out let Willie Rioli off to play the next week. The second one I look at, is Lewis Young on Cam Zurhaar when Young initially got suspended for a week for a bump that Cam Zurhaar actually initiated on Lewis Young and flattened himself. And the third one, which I spoke to about pre-show, am I missing something, or did Matt Kennedy miss this week with a concussion and fractured jaw? And where was the hoo-ha about a football incident with Sam Berry last week? Didn't hear about it. So I don't know what the MRO look at. I don't understand how this is any different to any of those three incidents that got off. It's a football incident. His eyes are on the football. You can see it when he leaves the ground. Archie's coming back with the flight. Cripps is going towards the ball. If what the AFL is now saying is, if that's the situation, then don't touch the man. Let's play touch football. Just play touch football.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do. I just, as soon as it happened,
it didn't look good.
It didn't look good. And if anything, the league is very much about what it looks like ever than what it ever has been.
Absolutely.
I initially was, I'll be honest, I was a bit frustrated with, it's tough because on the one hand, I kind of really do appreciate what he was trying to do in his head. He's trying to create something, just get something going, a spark, a hard contest, give away a free kick. I really do appreciate it. I do get it. I think later on in the game, he put his head over it, earned a free kick in the goal square. All good, all's well. My biggest anger point with I guess him and the leadership aspect of what happened on the day was, I think later on in the game, yet again, easy handball for his standards. For me, I wouldn't execute it because I couldn't play in this league. But for his standards and the level that we hold him to and the level that he holds himself to, it's all good to be tough and to knock someone out, but you can't execute a basic handball, which ended up being a direct turnover in the middle of the ground, which ended up being a goal. It just sums up where our priorities are. Like, what's more important, being a big, tough guy or actually executing on the scoreboard? You know, it's something he'll learn, Cripps. He will. I back him in because I know the work. You know, I don't question the work that he puts in. And, you know, he's been an absolute champion for the club. But I just think it was very frustrating. And now we know, unless the club appeal and it is successful, we now know that it's cost him and it's cost us 2 games.
Yeah,
and very important games.
Yeah, and that's the biggest disappointment. And you know what? To be fair, if you go back and watch the footage, Cripps you could see on his face he was a bit disappointed in the moments after. Like, you could see it. He was sort of hands on knees, like, fuck, what have I just done? All right, if he's trying to just get a bit of a spark out of the team just by going in hard to a contest, fair enough. But like I said, Tez, I look at that incident and I get it. Like, it was always going to be a week or two. I get it. But I just fundamentally disagree with how they're adjudicating these incidents. I just disagree. It is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
No, I'm with you.
No consistency, man. There's just none.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we need to talk about this game before we move on? And we can. I don't want to move on. It hurts
that last quarter is the only thing to talk about if you want. But for me, for me personally, there's not much. Unless we back it up with a first quarter that mirrors exactly how we finished that game, I couldn't care less. Because that sort of shit there is the shit that we saw from Tegan Bolton from this group to go, game's dead, boys. Try and hold your spot for next week.
Yes. Yeah. I don't want to give credit. I understand that percentage is an important part at the juicy end and really for everyone in the 8, especially when you're going to be at the bottom end of the 8. Every percent does matter. So from that standpoint, we did mitigate the percentage disaster. But I'm not going to use that as any reason to be happy about what happened during the game, because the fundamental issue is inability to play and execute when there is pressure.
Yep.
And that's just, I don't know how you teach it. I don't know how you teach it.
Maybe it's just time. I don't know. Maybe it's just going to take time. I really don't know.
Yep. All right. So 2 games left. We've got the D's and the Pies. I'm reading in the comments here that Harry Mackay has said that if they don't make finals, the year is still a success. I haven't heard it
Yeah.
myself, but I'm going to back in whoever. Can somebody confirm that in the comments? What was the general gist of Harry's conversation?
If you can get us a quote, I'll comment, because I don't want to misquote something
Yes.
that maybe there's a bit of emotion behind. That's all.
Yes. I've actually, for the first time in a long time, done the ladder predictor. I've had a look at the situation.
Bobby's tearing his hair out hearing you say that.
I've done it. Do you know that there is a reality? Like I said before, there is a reality where we lose both games and we still make the 8. It would mean that the Dogs would lose one of their remaining 2 games, and that would be us. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what defines success for the rest of the year. What do you guys want in the comments? Like, Joe, what do you want in the last 2 weeks? I mean, you sort of said it before about the way we play.
Like I said, just show that you want to win. Show that like this. That I just want these boys to show that their season's not done because they're content. You can't be content winning 12 games knowing that finals is right there. Like, it is right there. Like, just I don't know. I don't know what has to click with this playing group to go. We're playing for the fucking Carlton Football Club, boys. Like, we've got 80,000 members at this football club. This is a proud, historic club, and we're on the cusp of turning things around for our members, for our supporters, for anyone that cares about this football club for the first time in over a decade. Like, I don't know what has to click to go, we're there. Like, we're going to be the ones to do this. We're going to be the ones that are going to be remembered by our fan base for years to come, that we were the ones to turn this around. It's literally there in the palm of their hands. Now, regardless of opposition this week, I'm going to say regardless of opposition this week, be it Melbourne or not, right?
Yep.
I understand Melbourne and Melbourne, they're premiers, whatever, right? We've lost we've won 4 of our last 10. They've won 4 of their last 10. I don't care who they are. I don't care. They are in, from a win-loss perspective, the same form that we've shown for the last 10 weeks. Sure, no Hewitt, no Kennedy, no Cripps, likely all 3 missing. Just show ticker. Show some fight. If you get beaten because the midfield just runs over the top of us, so be it. At stoppages. So at stoppages. If that's where we get beat, that's where we get beat. If they just pummel us at stoppages because we're undermanned, fine. But if we get beat because there's no work rate or effort across the ground in transition, same show next week. Same disappointment, same frustration.
Pretty much. I've got the quote. Kira is somebody that I know would not misquote. This 12 months has been a success. Whether that comes with finals or whatever it is, I think we've taken a really big step into the right direction. Are we getting a little too caught up in this? Like, are we just overreacting a bit?
I still don't want to comment. I want to watch it. I still don't want to comment, because if there has been a direct question about finals, and about, you know, if you make finals, does it matter or not? And the answer is no. Then okay, like that's a massive concern. That quote there doesn't concern me too much. That's still pretty vague, to be fair. Fair.
Okay.
But hey, could be wrong.
Going to run through some questions. Quite a few that came through. Quite a few that I cannot repeat on air. I'll tell you that people were not happy.
Yeah,
from the Blue Baguette, is this a new Carlton in a rough patch, or are we and have we been the same old subpar Blues?
It's good from Lauren. I would, you know what? That's actually a good perspective. I like the first one. I think the last 2 weeks have been really disappointing and really bitter. But we had 18 weeks prior to that where everyone collectively was wrapped in the way that we were going. So I'm gonna go with New Carlton in a rut for this one.
We just happened to wait until the last month of the season to get right. There were quite a few when will it end? There were quite a few. How's your mental health? Thank you for asking. Did we exceed expectations early, and are we now truly seeing where Carlton are at?
No, I think early we won the games we were supposed to win, right? Like we beat the teams we were supposed to beat. We probably lost the games that we thought we were going to lose. It's only really up until the St Kilda, Adelaide games where we went, oh, they're bad losses. Like we shouldn't be dropping those games.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think what we're seeing, and the fact that you just hit the nail on the head before, the fact that we can still make finals from here without winning a game theoretically is what banking wins early looks like. That's what that looks like for a football club, any football club, is the fact that we're still in a position where we're 7th and we're 2 games clear of 9th or whatever it is. I think it's 1 game clear with St Kilda, but technically they shouldn't win either of the next 2 games. That we're in this position that we're fortunate enough that we could still fall into the 8. You know, is it the way that we want to get there? No. Would we be happy if we played finals week 1? Absolutely. No one's going to say no to that. So I don't think we over exceeded early. I think we've won the games that we should have won outside of the St Kilda and Adelaide games, and the rest is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Where was it? It's a good question. If Cripps does get rubbed out, could we maybe try Stocker in the midfield? He doesn't shy away from the contest. Let's talk about that. What do we do this week? Assuming Cripps is going to be suspended because he is, and we haven't seen the appeal situation yet. Who would you like to see in the midfield mix now? I think you mentioned Setters, so we'll lock him in. Wow, Cripps, Hewitt, Kennedy out. Fuck,
it's crazy.
Okay, so let's get practical. What do you think? I'd love to see Stocker just go through there. Maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree. Maybe I'm just beating a dead horse. I don't know. I just think he has the attributes. I'd love to at least see it.
I don't know enough about. I don't know. I'm very apprehensive to talk about Stocker because I don't know where he's at development-wise. I know he looks like he's got all the attributes to be that midfielder that we want him to be. But I'll put it to you this way. If he did have those attributes and he was ready, surely he would have already played in there by now. True. That's where my head's at. So, no, I don't want to just see it for the sake of it. I think it's Setterfield. I think it's Setters. We know you can do this, mate. Just be a tackling machine. You have to be. Run with Viney all day and just check him. Or absolutely body check him all game. With the way that he's playing, someone has to go to him. And then with one of the other two, Petrarca or Oliver, like pick one to just throw, I don't know, Walsh head to head with and just hope Walsh comes out better on the day. Pitto in, just absolutely outstrength, go on whenever you can. Play TDK and Silvani as well, and I'll tell you why. Mark Pitnet goes with Gawn all day. Wherever Gawn is, Pitto is. TDK goes with Luke Jackson all day. Wherever Luke Jackson is, TDK is, and Sauce can be our half-forward link. Or spend patches in the middle at center bounces and whatnot. I've just seen the comment here, as an inside mid. We saw him do it against Freo a few years back where he tagged Fife out of the game. Maybe he can do something similar again where he can just throw his body around. I don't know. But I think all three need to play. I think all three can play together. And I think what needs to happen this week, it's not actually based on selection. It's about how are we going to match up against them with what we've got at our disposal. Plain and simple. Who are the big bodies we can throw in there that can potentially have an impact and nudge them off the ball and make it hard for them just to get out of a stoppage? Because if these guys walk out of stoppages, this is 100-point loss written all over it. Yeah. And I can't say that with any less fear. Like, if they walk out of stoppages like we let Brisbane do, this has 100-point loss written all over it. And it's undoes everything that was good about the season. Absolutely everything. So Setterfield goes in, big body. Silvani maybe goes in, big body. Have the 2 rucks play man on man all day with the opposing 2 rucks and see how we go. That's it. I can't see it happening any other way, Tez. I don't know about you, but I can't see any other way that we play it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see. I mean, the only other one who's in the reserves that hasn't had a crack recently, and I know they had a bye on the weekend, was Lockie Fogarty. I probably would back, to be honest with you, like on a personally, my view on, I'd rather see him in the midfield than Dow at this point, because I know that at least Fogg, I know that he's hard enough to to impose himself physically and tackle. At the same time, maybe I'm also beating a dead horse and saying give Dow another chance. I don't know.
No. Look, like I said, I've been one of his biggest fans for so long, but after that on the weekend, how can you?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so we're going to find out a lot about the group because it's all up against us now. It would be some kind of win if we did it though.
Mate, I'll tell you this: if we somehow come out with a win against the D's on Saturday night, this is the makings. I know we're talking about this club in a very negative sense for the last 50 minutes, but if we pull out this win on Saturday night, we're the greatest football organisation in the land. That's where we'll be at. That's where we'll be at.
Yeah, I don't like looking too far ahead. I've learnt in life to just stay in the moment and react to what is as opposed to what could be. And it provides you with a lot more mental stability and a lot more clarity. But where my head went today,
yes, Ari.
Yes, Ari. Where my head went today was straight up. I was like, if we put in this kind of effort in the next 2 weeks, again, like we've just had 2 weeks of shit effort. If we put in another 2 weeks from, against Melbourne and against Collingwood, where we just get dominated, I, for the first time, feared fan cams. I genuinely feared fan cams.
Hey, that last, I know you got a show next week. We're going to preview the Collingwood game, but mate, I'll tell you what, I'm envisioning myself in 2 scenarios at the G on that Sunday, and it's elation and middle finger to every Collingwood fan that's even within the proximity of being within earshot, or it is just like the darkest day of all of our lives because they'll be on a roll to a home final with a double chance and we potentially miss out from 8-2. Like that would hurt so much, man. Like that would kill me. It'd kill us.
Thing is, I deserve it. I talked so much shit early.
I know. We've got no one else to blame this year.
I talked so much smack. Is anybody else watching? Is anybody else watching that went to work today regretting all of the smack talk that they gave their colleagues and their friends and family in the last 6 months? Because I definitely did. Oh, mate, I regret a lot of what I've said this year.
Anyone that's watching that knows me, work colleague, whoever you may be, if you are watching, if you're wondering why I haven't responded to your texts for the last 2 weeks, I know where I've gone wrong. That's why, and I'm staying quiet. That's it.
You have to laugh.
Man.
One of the many phrases that have come out of this channel is if you don't laugh, you cry.
That's it.
So yeah, it's you got to cop it. That's the beauty of the sport and supporting. And let's anyway. Another thing I wanted to bring up. So tomorrow, 8 p.m, the Jumper Punch, episode 47. Can I just say, those boys, the game ended. They went to the studio after the game and they were filming until 3:30 in the morning.
Unbelievable. I think Mars on Instagram said, "Is this stupidity or dedication?" And I said to him, "I think it's both. To be fair, I think it's both. But can't knock the effort. Can't knock the effort.
I mean, look, there's loving something, and then there's what we all do for it, and then like and how much we let this thing that we have no control over. These players couldn't give 2 shits who we are. Let's be honest. Nor should they. Whatever. And yet we still show up week in, week out, caring, worrying, getting angry. It's fascinating. It really is fascinating.
Yep. No, agree. And I promise for the Almost Blues brothers, we will be back next week, regardless.
Yes.
That is absolutely happening because I've seen a few today. Just where are you boys tomorrow? No, it's not happening. I gave you a little snippet on Instagram, and that was about it. Once you get
into the hearts of people, they look to you. They rely on your on the consistency. I think it's a testament to consistency.
You know what? If you listen to us and you haven't listened to a few other Carlton podcasts along the way, go listen to Navy Blue Corner. Go listen to Blue Pod. Go listen to Baggers Chat, Blues Footy, whoever it may be. There's plenty of other ones out there that'll give you some therapy this week, but we'll be back next week.
Absolutely. Well, here's a little promo for tomorrow's Jumper Punch, episode 47.
My name's Peter Francis. I was the number 47 for Carlton in the 1979 Grand Final. Just like me, make sure you don't miss Jumper Punch every Tuesday night at 8 p.m.
Yes. So another legend as they inch closer to episode 50, which is a huge milestone. The boys, the boys over there. Joe, any last thoughts, comments?
This is probably my last live show here on a Monday before hopefully finals. So my closing comments here are just show something for the next 2 weeks. Just effort can win us a game. Effort can win us one of these next 2 games, regardless of personnel. It's just going to take everything and more. And I hope these boys have something in them where they want to give that either on Saturday night against the D's or the Sunday after against the Pies. Like, just find something. Got to find something, man.
Yeah, mate, that's very well said. Don't play the next 2 weeks wondering if you could have given more.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. I mean, I can understand we're playing some really good opposition who you need to respect, and there's a bit of reality that needs to come with it, and certain players are out. All of that. I do understand that, but don't let that seep into the way that they play this week. I don't want to be sitting here next Monday saying the same thing happened and they didn't even try and it was too late before they gave a yelp. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to do it. It would be crazy for them after all they've done this season to finish the year like that. It would really be disappointing. And I hope that they see it that way too.
And if you're a fan, look, we're all flat. And we could all go into this game flat against the D's. If you're going on Saturday, just give them everything. Because if we're expecting them to give us everything and more, we got to give it back. And we know these boys fight off energy. Like, they fight off the energy that we've given them all year. So be loud. Keep going to these games. The season's nowhere near done yet. We've got 2 weeks to play finals here and some after that. So 2 more weeks of screaming your lungs out and having no voice on a Monday. That's how I see it.
Love it. Joe, you're a star. Thanks for coming on tonight, bro.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Go Blues.